Hello guys, and welcome back to another tutorial. So on today's video we're going to be making this wrap dress, and we are going to be doing this using the freehand method. You do not have to have all the fancy tools and the rest in order for you to make a simple top like this. So we are going to be making this. If that sounds interesting to you, do stay tuned and let's get right into the video. So this is the fabric we are going to be working with, and I got 2 yards of this fabric. So let's get right into the cutting part. So now we're going to mark 19 inches. So I was going to place 18.5 inches, but we're going to add ½ inches again. This is because we're going to be folding the bottom part. So I'm just going to mark 19 inches across, and then I'm going to roll this out. Next, we're going to be marking out our shoulder measurement divided by 2. That is going to be 8.5, and I'm just going to mark this, and then we're going to go down by 1 inch because as usual our shoulders are not straight. And then I'm going to be marking out 8 inches for my armhole, and I'm going to roll this out. I'm going to go ahead to mark out our neckline, which is going to be 3 inches divided by 2 is 3 inches, and then we are going to be marking out our neck depth. I'm going to be working with 1 inches at the back. So I'm going to roll this out. This is actually the back piece we are drafting, and we're going to use this to cut out the front piece. So next, I'm just dragging my neckline to meet with our shoulder slope. So this is what it's looking like currently. Now we're going to come out here by 1 inch, and then we're going to carve this upwards to form our armhole. So we are going to go ahead to trace this all the way down. So guys, next I'm going to go ahead to mark out 10 inches. This is my bust point line, and I'm going to go ahead to mark out 13 inches, which is my under bust line. So this is going to serve as a guide so you know where to place your measurements. You can go ahead to drag this all the way down or just leave it the way it is. So this is going to be my guide. I'm going to be placing my bust point measurement divided by 4, and then I'm going to mark this out, and I'm going to add 1 inch sewing allowance. Then I'm going to go ahead to add my under bust measurement divided by 4, and then we are going to also go ahead to add 1 inch because my under bust measurement and my waist is the same thing. I just went ahead to add the same measurement I had there, and I added my 1 inch sewing allowance. So we are going to go ahead to trace this down. So this is what the back pattern is looking like currently. We are going to go ahead to cut this out. So we're going to be coming up by ½ inch here for our joining. This is going to enable our measurements remain constant because we are going to actually be adding ½ inches if we're doing this with our pattern. So you can see that I came up by ½ inch here. So this is what it's looking like. Now we're going to go ahead to use this to cut our front pattern. So you can see what it's looking like currently. So for the front of our top, I just went ahead to fold our remaining fabric like so, and now I'm going to bring in the back piece we had cut out initially, and then we're going to be placing this at this area here, making sure that we have enough allowance at the front part here. So you can see that when I place my tape here, what I have here is about 10 inches allowance extra. So I'm just going to carve out our neckline from the back pattern. This is going to also be a guide for us to cut the front. So this is what it's looking like currently. I'm going to go ahead to cut the sides all the way to the top. So far this is what the pattern is looking like. So you can see that I went ahead to stop this here, and this is because we are going to be slanting this all the way down because this is a wrap top. And I also went ahead to trace this part out like this because if you're a beginner you would find it a bit tricky to do this part. So I just left that as a guide, and you can see that from the neckline area, I'm just tracing this all the way down. So we are going to just go ahead to cut this the way I traced it out all the way to the very end. You can see that it's slanted because it is a wrap top, but you can also go ahead to curve this a bit if you want yours to be a bit open. But if you do not want to show too much cleavage, you can go ahead to just cut it straight. So please take note of that as well. So I'm just placing everything, making sure everything is aligned properly, and I'm going to go ahead to cut this out. So after cutting out the front pieces, this is what it is looking like. So I'm just going to place this side by side and show you what it is going to look like. You should have something like this when you're done. So now we're going to go ahead to bring in our back piece, and I'm just going to place this back piece like so and bring in the front pieces, placing them right sides facing each other. So I'm going to place them right sides facing each other right now so we can start sewing. So we're going to be sewing this by 1/2 inch to join the shoulders together, and I'm going to bring in the second piece, and we're going to as well sew that by 1/2 inch, placing them, making sure everything's aligning together. So guys, this is what it is looking like after we're done sewing this by 1/2 inch. So what we are going to do next is we're going to fold in the sides of these areas we have here, just so everything is looking neat. So we're going to hold this like so and fold it in twice, and we're going to sew this all the way down to the very end of the other side of our top. So we're going to take this to the machine now. After folding in the rough edges, you can see what our top is looking like so far. You can see what it's looking like. So now what we're going to do is we're going to flip this over to the other side, and we're going to place this right sides facing each other. You can see that this is the wrong side of our dress, or top rather. So now I'm just going to hold the sides, making sure everything is aligning properly, and we're going to sew this all the way down, following our body measurements, what we have there. You know, we left out 1 inch sewing allowance, so we're just going to go ahead to sew this. This is what it is looking like after we were done sewing the sides down. I also went ahead to fold down the bottom part of the top, so you can see what it's looking like. I'm going to flip this over to the other side so you can see this properly. You can see that I also went ahead to fold in the bottom. So we're going to set this aside and start working on our sleeve. So this is a basic sleeve, and I know I mentioned we are going to be doing this a freehand method, but I just went ahead to use this. You can actually work on this without the pattern. You can still do it free-handedly. So I went ahead to just cut this open so we can do a slash and spread method. So I'm just going to open this up, and you can see this is what it's looking like. And we are going to bring in our fabric and place this down, and then we're going to cut it out. So after placing this on our pattern, I went ahead to add in extra 3 inches because the length I'm going to be using for this is 26 inches. So I'm going to be marking out the extra we have at the bottom. So we're just going to mark this out. And after marking that out, we're going to go ahead to just cut out everything, and we're going to be cutting out 2 of this for both sleeves, obviously. So I'm going to go ahead to just cut this. So this is what our sleeve is looking like, and like I said, we're going to be cutting another piece of this for the other side. So this is what it's looking like right now. So guys, for this part I lost a few clips, but what I did was I just got the remaining part of our fabric and I folded it into the way you would when you want to cut your peplon, and I just placed this 4 to 5 inches downwards at the sides of my initial sleeve we drafted. So I just placed it here like this. So I just want to clarify that before we continue the remaining parts of the tutorial. So from this point here, I'm going to drag this all the way down. You can see that it's equal with what we have on our sleeve, but then we're going to drag this all the way down to the other side. And what we have here after we were done tracing this down is about 29 to 30 inches. So I'm just going to bring this up here so you can see this better. So this is what it's looking like. I'm going to go ahead to cut this out. So you can see here that I still went down about 1 inch before I started cutting this all the way back to our initial line we had, just to exaggerate this a little bit more. So this is what it is looking like. I'm going to open this up. This is what we have so far, and I'm going to be cutting out another piece of this. Now what we're going to do is we're going to attach that, should I call it gore? We're going to be attaching our gore to the sleeve. So what I did was I marked out the 5 inches line we have here. So we're going to sew this from this point and stop here, and this is going to enable us attach our gore to this other parts we have here. So we are going to go ahead to sew this. So this is what it's looking like after I was done sewing this. Now I'm going to bring in the gore part. We're just going to call it that. So I'm going to place this on this part, 1/2 inch above this place where we have the sewing, 1/2 inches above that. So we're going to place it like that, and then from that point there we're just going to sew this all the way down. When we're done sewing on this part, we're going to as well do the same thing on the other side. So I'm going to go ahead to sew this. So when we're done with that, we should have something that looks like this. I went ahead to do the sewing for the other part so you can see what it's looking like right now. So when you're done attaching this, what you should do is go ahead to fold the bottom part of the sleeve. So this is what it's looking like. We're going to go ahead to fold the bottom part of the sleeve so everything is looking nicely done. So I'm going to go ahead to do that. So guys, I went ahead to fold in the rough edges at the bottom of our sleeve, and I did the same thing for both the sleeves. So this is what it is looking like. Now what we're going to do is we're going to bring in the bodies of our top, and we are going to be fixing the sleeve to the bodies. So I'm just going to flip this over to the wrong side, and then we're going to attach this. First of all, I'm going to create a notch just so I know the center part of the sleeve. So I'm going to create a notch, and this is going to serve as a guide for us to fix the sleeve. And I'm going to take the center part of the sleeve where I notched it to match up with the center part of the joining of the bodies, and I'm going to pin this all the way down. So after we're done pinning this, we're going to go ahead to take this to the machine to sew. So this is what it's looking like. We're going to go ahead to take this to the machine to sew all the way to the other side by 1/2 inch. So once we're done with that, we're going to go ahead to close up this part we have here left, and everything is done. So after we are done fixing everything, I went ahead to sew strips of fabric which was about 15 inches long, and I attached it to the front parts of our top. This is going to help us tie this in place when we wrap our top. So this is what it is looking like. This is what the top is looking like. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed watching and you found this video helpful, do not forget to give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you're not yet subscribed already, and I will see you on the next tutorial. Bye guys.